And here's one where you see rivulets and a flood puddle over to the side. I mean, this is just, they're meandering riverbeds and river deltas, all of the telltale signs of water carvings that you fly over when you cross the Midwest in a plane. You see that on Mars. So definitely water's there. So water's good because maybe there was once life, but also water gives you energy. Did you know that the orange tank of the space shuttle has two tanks within it, one twice as large as the other? The big one contains hydrogen, the little one contains oxygen. You bring them together, the exhaust of that tank is H2O, otherwise known as water, and that is the very simple chemical formula for what's going on at the bottom, at the business end of the space shuttle. Okay? Now, it's also going up from the two solid rocket boosters on the left, but the main tank is essentially non-polluting because its exhaust is steam. The other two tanks, that's a different story. Let's go to Europa. This is the surface of Europa. This looks a little weird, but if you take pictures of the ice flows in the northern Atlantic, whatever ice flows remain, and you see them freeze, break, and refreeze, it looks exactly like this. There are places where you see cracks had developed and froze over again, interfering with previous places where tracks had gone through. So it's a rather busy place. It's been suggested that if you go to Europa, you don't actually have to dig through the ice. It might be a kilometer thick. You don't have to dig through because any place the ice cracked, water seeps up and then freezes again. So if there are any fishes down there, maybe a fish came up and froze, so there's like a freezer ready for you to just have your barbecue right there. You just park your ship right near one of these ravines, and right in the middle, that would be freshly frozen material from way down below. So maybe you don't have to. Other things we're looking for are exoplanets. Gliese 581G is an exoplanet, one of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. In fact, this morning, if you listen to the radio interview that I had, I recommended an app for your phone, your smartphone. And it's called Exoplanets. Go check it out. And it is up-to-the-minute listing of every exoplanet that's been discovered in the catalog. You can see the orbit, whether it is a Goldilocks planet or not. And Goldilocks, that's pretty simple. It means if you're too close, your water evaporates. Too close to the host star, too far away, it freezes. You want to be just right, like Goldilocks. And I was always disturbed by the Goldilocks story because, you know, if you're the Bears and you come home and, like, there's Goldilocks, done ate your porridge, done sleeping in your bed, and I think the Bears would have just simply eaten her, you see? That would have been, so the lesson would have been much more profound. Bears, those bears would eat people, see? So that's what I'm thinking. So you can find the orb, so it's G right there at the bottom, and for that star, that G is in the Goldilocks zone of its host planet. So I just wanted to just kind of get all of that out of the way. Let's move on. Let's move on to Pluto. Yes, so I keep getting blamed for Pluto. It's because 10 years ago, 11 years ago now, we opened an exhibit in New York City where we grouped Pluto with other icy brethren in the outer solar system, and the nation's population of elementary school children got pissed off. So my words of wisdom to you, okay. No, that's mean. No, that's mean. I'm not that mean. All the time, I'm not that mean. It all started with this guy. We've seen him before. Where did we see him? He started the search for Planet X that led to the discovery of Pluto, because he was sure that the orbit of Neptune, which was not following Newton's laws of gravity, that there was some hidden, unseen, not hidden, but yet to be discovered planet in the outer solar system tugging on Neptune. He said, find it. Well, you look for where it's supposed to be, nobody found anything. So this fellow gets hired, Clyde Tombaugh. He he's 21 years old, gets hired at the Lowell Observatory, and he does a systematic search for Planet X. And lo and behold, he finds Pluto, named by an 11-year-old girl in England, not by an American. Discovered by an American, named by a Brit. No American would have possibly called this object Pluto. Do you know why? Because at the time, there was a laxative called Pluto water. When nature won't, Pluto will. Relief for constipation. So no American is thinking, I'm going to name this new cosmic object after my bowels. That's not going to happen. So it got named in England. The problem is, with this discovery photo, Clyde Tombaugh used to joke. They said, you know, how did you find Pluto with all those? So it was easy, because there was an arrow pointing straight to it. So, anyhow, this object, which is moving in these 4 frames against the background, is the first ever icy body discovered outside of Neptune. Actually, it's the second ever icy body discovered outside of Neptune, the first being Pluto. This is a new swath of real estate discovered with this image, and we name it after the fellow who proposed its existence, Gerard Kuiper. It's the Kuiper belt of icy bodies, a Kuiper belt of comets. The number of objects now known is in the thousands, all discovered in the last 20 years. And some of them have orbital properties that greatly resemble that of Pluto. The same orbital tilt, they look and smell like Pluto. So those have been collectively called Plutinos. That's kind of cute. So Pluto has brethren out there. And this is what we knew in the year 2000. Pluto and they look more alike than either they or Pluto look like any of the other 8 planets. And we figured, hey, it's time for Pluto to own up to its actual identity. Because when it was alone, you can't make a class of 1. That doesn't work in science. So we said, okay, Pluto, we'll grandfather you in. Okay, we'll call you a planet. We don't know what else to call you. Okay, now it's got family. The Kuiper belt. There you have it. And I think Pluto's happier there. Okay? Really? Do you know that our moon is 5 times the mass of Pluto? Any Pluto lovers out there who didn't know that? See, that's kind of sets it straight for you right there. And you know, if Pluto were where Earth is right now, its ice content would evaporate and it would grow a tail. No, that's just embarrassing. You can't have a tail and call yourself a planet. So Pluto's been reclassified. I would be happy to call it a comet, but that would have been that was just, people would have just cried. So it's called a dwarf planet now. And so it's small. So these are other sort of dwarf planets out there. Pluto is among them. Pluto has 3 moons. Charon was the big one, the quote, big one. Nix and Hydra. But it's not alone out there, and it's probably not even the biggest. Eris is probably a little bit bigger than Pluto. But this is Pluto's family, and like I said, I think it's happier there. And this is where I work. You all invited? Just come on in. Say you know me, and they'll still charge you 19 bucks. But notice how we have the sphere in which we contain the planetarium, and we have the large Jovian gas giant planets suspended from the ceiling. The terrestrials, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, the cable would be like as wide as they are, so we just mount them on the railing. Pluto is not among them. Pluto is somewhere else in the exhibit, and that's what got people pissed off. And that's what made a page 1 story in the New York Times on January 22nd, 2001. What else should have been filling that page 1 on that date in that year? Think about it. Bush got inaugurated. Bush, that's the first news day, the second news day after the first news day after the inauguration news day. You inaugurated on the 20th. That news goes into the 21st. This appeared in the 20th. You'd think the whole page would be filled with information about Washington and the change of power. But there it was. Pluto not a planet?